A recap of what's happening at City Hall with John Ongaro. The views expressed in this program are solely of those of the host and not necessarily those of the radio station or its partners.
All right, there's a lot to unpack from last night's council meeting, and I'll get to that in a second, but be forewarned that I may not handle the results of last night's meeting well, and I've been struggling with this since last night because I left the meeting last night very angry. But first, I want to address something else, a misunderstanding and a blatant false narrative that I've been reading a lot of on social media over the last couple of days. If you're one of the people that subscribes to and follows the various whiner clubs known as the local Facebook pages, also known as hate groups, that have people spending far too much time complaining about things they know nothing about and in turn getting a bunch of people fired up, please take note and pass along some facts. I watched intently the last couple of days on a couple of pages with people complaining about the spends of city council, and one thing kept coming up: the art gallery. Haters, can you please pay attention for just 1 second? Do me a favor. The taxpayers are not paying for the art gallery. Can you please stop complaining about the art gallery? The art gallery will probably come in at around $60 million. We're not paying for all of it. Can you please stop saying that? The city's investment is $5.7 million plus some tax-free land. That's not $60 million, and that story is 2 years old. Get your facts straight and move on. We're not paying for the art gallery. The art gallery and its fundraising continues, and in my opinion will be an amazing addition to the waterfront in the community, but we're not paying for it.
Right, and I think almost $48 million has come from the provincial and federal.
5.7 from us.
All right.
Now that we're past that, let's move on to last night. Away we go. First, the city sold a big chunk of land to a local numbered company in Inova Park, $212,000 for a corner lot. It looks like there's going to be some development there soon, and it's always exciting when there's something new. And hey, Inova Park has been sitting empty for decades, and now that there's a new car dealership in there, maybe more will come. The numbered company, if you search for it, is a well-known company and a very smart developer.
Awesome.
So fingers crossed.
I like to hear that.
Next, the downtown Fort William Strategic Renewal Plan motion last night to continue to move the work forward and reimagining the area. Of course, the demolition of Victoriaville starts shortly in the next coming weeks or months, and the plans to redevelop the entire area came from a lot of hard work from the Downtown Fort William Revitalization Committee. Thank you to all of those that served on that committee. It's now dissolved, and it means that the future is bright for the South Core thanks to the hard work of a handful of volunteers, so thank you. Now take a deep breath. Here we go. The Centennial Botanical Conservatory, as it's known. I'm going to do my best to give you a brief history and the outcome from last night without completely losing it, because I might. I was a supporter of the upgrades of the conservatory and saving it years ago, but I was a supporter at the original price, period. The place was neglected for decades. There is no disputing that. And now this council is going to save the day, but you're paying for it, even though the neglect is the responsibility of half of the people around that table last night. They're the ones that dragged their feet in the first place. So here are the basics. 1 year ago, this council approved a plan for the first two phases of the conservatory reconstruction and repairs. That approval was just a little over $5 million. 1 year later, a little less actually, last night, council was presented with the new plan and the new price tag of $7.77 million plus $1.1 million contingency, in case they go over. $3 million had been spent on phase one, and now we're at 7.77. So some quick math, we're already pushing $10 million. Good news, though, right? External funding for the project was received, $3.7 million. Almost half, right? Well, wait. Buckle up. Last night was about the addition of phase two, and administration is recommending we get going this year because, the standard line prices are just going to go up. Many, many upgrades, including saving over 90% of the previous greenhouse gases, multiple savings in power and water consumption, and even more in heating the facility. All great things. Look at all we're saving. It also comes with a new public space to generate revenue. A space that's 1,500 square feet, that's the size of a bungalow, and 2,000 square feet of outdoor space to host events. If you do some quick math, well, it'll tell you that 1,500 square feet holds about 100 people, about 130 people for 2,000 square feet. Tell me how much revenue that's going to generate. Yeah. The additional new wings and new space and redesigned outside space will put the grand reopening in 2025. But last night, admin brought to council a new total. a 55% increase in the cost. $7.7 million. The project is now over $10 million, and they haven't got to phase 3 yet, which is the outside section, parking pass, outdoor displays, and more. How much will that be? Another 3, 4, or 5 million? Admid made it clear council approved this project. The public wants the conservatory, but here's the thing. The public wanted the conservatory, but no one mentioned $10 million, and it's not even done yet. So how are we paying for it? Well, the public wants it. They wanted Victoriaville torn down too. That's $11 to $12 million. They asked for a new police headquarters. They didn't ask for a new police headquarters, but you're getting one anyway, and you're paying for one. Last report, $80 million. And of course, let's not forget the chunk of fake grass with a roof for 5% of the population that will use it. That's about 5,000 people. That was supposed to be 17 million, then it went to 25 million, then 30 million, but we changed our mind to 35, and now it's 40 million. And of course, that doesn't include the $4 or $5 million worth of stuff that's needed to get this thing built. Listen to what I'm telling you. We just outlined over $120 million of expenses at our doorstep this year. Where are we getting the money? It's impossible. So there it was last night in front of council. Half new members and half veterans, all of them preaching from the same prayer book while campaigning about fiscal responsibility. All of them playing the game like they care about the lack of growth and that they're all very concerned. And all of them hanging their hats on the magical mining boom that's coming that will all save us. How's that coming along? Yeah, your council was presented with a total for a building with a 55% increase in the budget that they approved. And we haven't even got to phase 3 yet. And what did they do? Well, come on, you know better. You know what they did. Councillor Pascalino last night called it the point of no return with the conservatory. Don't have a choice now. We have to accept it. Councillor Folds found every way to Sunday to justify every extra dollar. Oh, look over here. We're saving money there. Oh, look. Savings on heating. And did you know they're collecting rainwater for the plants? I appreciate Councillor Folds' passion, but we simply will never agree on spending. He likes to spend, and I'm historically cheap. Just ask my friends. This was a project the community wanted, he preached. Yes, Councillor Folds, but not at a $10 million plus price tag. Then Councillor Mark Bentz, who, when it comes to money, is always there to bring out the facts. The 55% makes him uncomfortable. He was the first to point out that we're over $10 million and outside money is only 33%. And where does the money come from? Reserves. And then continued to remind council of the huge expenses in front of us. He said, we all heard the community wanted this, but we have to be careful, he kept saying. And he went on to say, and I quote, it's easy to be a cheerleader for every project that comes along. Like me, he supports the project, but is simply not comfortable with the cost. But we have to stop being cheerleaders. Well, the cheerleading comment struck a nerve with one councillor, and I quote, I am a cheerleader of this project. I've got my pom-poms and cheering, and I'm cheering it on. Yes, Councillor Chung, where there's money to be spent, you and Councillor Folds will be the cheer captains while I'm on the bleachers. Sorry, Swifties, I couldn't resist that one. Listen, not enough people are talking about the spending. Not nearly enough people are talking about the expenses in front of us, especially your councillors. The ones that are there to control the spending, they are ignoring it at a nauseating level. Yet they'll spend hours in meetings complaining about processes and complaining about each other and the clerk and things that have no value to your bottom line and the money you work so hard for. It's all about wants versus needs. It's planning for the future that is coming way too slowly. The mining boom we keep hearing about isn't here yet. It's a long way, if at all. But we're spending money like it happened 10 years ago. It didn't. It hasn't. It's not here yet. So please help me understand where all this money is coming from. Oh, wait, last night we learned that the 55% increase in the expenses for the renovation of the decrepit conservatory that half this council is responsible for neglecting. Yes, half of them didn't spend a nickel on it for decades. They were the first to say, spend the money. We'll just take it out of reserves. Well, my friends, reserves are not bottomless pits of free money. And they're not paying for your police headquarters or your fake enclosed grass. They're there to save us from disasters, which they've done before, from major expenses that we didn't expect. It is not a slush fund. But your city council continues to spend and spend and spend outside of the budget they just approved. And next month, they're probably going to pull the trigger on a turf that was supposed to be $17 million that now is $45 plus. Think of that for a second. Pause for a minute and ask yourself, where is the money coming from? I honestly have no idea. But when it came to the vote last night, 11 elected officials did not miss a beat and didn't hesitate for a second. They shot their hands up quickly and happily said yes to 55% increase for a building that half of them neglected for years. Now, over $10 million to fix the conservatory, and they're not done yet, which, by the way, is double what we spent on the art gallery. How many more of these surprises are coming? Don't be fooled. They're still coming. And this group will continue to turn their backs on accountability, fiscal responsibility, and say yes to every single shiny new thing that comes in front of them, forgetting the major projects ahead of them that doesn't include a $30 million infrastructure gap that keeps growing because we're spending reserves on things they can put their names on. There is no explanation for this careless spending. None. They want to be attached to a legacy. Sadly, as every decision comes with an increased price tag, it's more and more apparent that this term of council is more about their ego and ribbon cutting shiny new things and things we don't need, and less about how much it's going to hurt you. This one is going to hurt.
Wow, that was intense. Last week was so peaceful and wonderful.
I can't deal with it anymore. I honestly can't. Like, seriously. And you and I have talked about this off the air.
Yeah.
I almost don't want to do this anymore because it sounds just negative Nancy all over the place.
This was a tough one. I will give you that. This was really hard.
It's a 55% increase.
Yeah.
God bless the Friends of the Conservatory for all the work that they've done to try to save that place. They sat in front of these people to save that building, begging for help for years and years and years, and we did nothing.
Yeah.
And now here we are. Well, we waited too long. And look, who waited too long? Half of you were in that room that waited too long, and you're the same half that went, yep, let's spend the money. Money that's not in the budget.
I also just want to say, and I know everyone's interests are different, I can't tell you the last time I had a conversation with someone about the conservatory. And I'm not disputing the fact that it's there, it's important.
Oh, and the work is beautiful, by the way. The work is beautiful.
Okay, I just can't
last
recall
time I was
the
in there,
conversation I've had with someone about the conservatory.
Last time I was in there was 18 years ago next week when I got married in it.
Okay, so there you go. 18 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
When was the last time you were there?
I can't even. I was near there delivering lunch to a business near. Do you know what I mean? I have not.
Listen,
been
it is.
there.
It is not about the conservatory, and it's a historic place. Yes, it will attract more people. Yes, the outdoor space may renovate. It may generate some revenue. That's great. That's not the point. The point is that last year you approved $5 million. This year you had no trouble adding 2.5 more, plus a contingency on top of that. Oh, but sometimes tenders come in less. Really? Sure they do. You have no money. You have no money. 5% increase this year on your taxes? What would have this done? The worst part about this, Danny, is that this is just the beginning. It's only $2 million extra. Only
no.
But there's a $45 million turf facility that somebody sold a bill of goods, which is a bunch of garbage, that it was going to be only $17 million. Yeah. There is a big difference between 17 and $45 million. And this council is going to have no problem signing that check. That is scary. And I don't think enough people are talking about this.
Yeah.
And if this segment does anything, talk about this. Sure. Talk about where you think your money should be spent, because they are throwing it around like water, and it's not right. And I don't understand how half of that group that was preaching just before the election about what they're going to do something different didn't have the courage last night to put their hand up and say, stop spending money. You have no money.
Yeah, what stood out for me is the total that you gave, just over $100 million in spending. Like, where is this coming
$80 million
from?
of that, by the way, you have no choice of. That's just the beginning, the $80 million for the police headquarters.
Yeah.
You don't have any choice of that. And do you actually think that the budget that we have in place for Victoriaville is actually going to stick? Do you think we're going to come in less for tearing down Victoriaville and fixing
There's
all of
always
those
something.
buildings? There's
Yeah.
always something. Guess what the always something is part, Danny? That's for reserves. To save us from those kinds of things. Not to be able to show up at a ribbon cutting ceremony, shiny and new, and look at our name on the wall. That's what this is about. It's sad.
Before we close out, I just want to say one thing when it comes to all this. I sure hope other cities are dealing with the same.
I don't think they are.
I think so, John, because this is an intense one this morning. If you missed part of this roundup, heads up, this will be available to you on our website, 999thebay.ca. You can also text the word council to our T-Bay Tel Talk and text line, 807-344-8229. That'll give you a direct link to this. And I really encourage you to take a listen to this one this morning if you missed part of it at all. This was, wow.
Talk about it with your friends. Talk about it in the coffee shops. Talk about it over dinner. They are spending money you don't have. And let me just give you a little insight. There's a few things going on with the Thunder Bay Police Service right now.
Yeah.
You think their legal bills and their expenses this year are going to come in under budget?
There's that too.
That's just the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't see the crystal ball. I don't see the mining trucks moving in just yet. We got to stop spending money like it's already here.
It's talked about, but when is that happening?
Where's the money?
You're right. Yeah.
Where's the money? There
Okay.
isn't any.
John, that is our City Council roundup for April 16th. Again, it'll be on our website, 999thebay.ca. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Danny.